What is up, Wizards fans? Welcome to another Believe in Wizards podcast. I'm Matt Modderno. In the middle, we've got Kevin Broom. On the right, we've got Osman Baig, all of us from Bolts Forever. So you can consider this the Bolts Forever live mock draft, the last one right before the draft here. So this is our latest and greatest thinking. We know the draft order, all that good stuff. So we're just going to run through the picks. As always, we're brought to you by Surfside Vodka or Stateside Vodka, Surfside Hard Iced Teas, Hard Lemonades, every flavor you can think of. Literally all good. I say this every show. I've had 2 of them today, so we'll see how that impacts my drafting here as we go. Also brought to you by Betonline. It's your number one source for all your summer sports this season: MLB, golf, WNBA, whatever you can think of, UFC, all that good stuff. All the latest stats, news, and scores available for your favorite teams. Follow along. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports, player props, odds, everything. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get on the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Also, shameless plug for our draft show next week on Wednesday for the first round on that's the 26th of June. So tune in to join us at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Kevin will be on there. Maybe Oz will come join us for a little bit here if he's not too busy. See him at a baseball field right now. So we'll see if we can corner him for a little bit of the draft. And we're doing a fundraiser for MS Society this year in honor of our guy, Dave Johnson, one of the Wizards radio broadcasters, big proponent of MS Society, suffers with MS. So, want to show a little love for someone in our Wizards community. Guys, most importantly, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's hot, been hot where I am, but life's good.
I can't complain. Weather's good out here. It's nice outside. My son's actually batting with the bases loaded, so I may react negatively or positively any second right now.
We'll cross our fingers.
No, it's all good. Hey, can't complain, man. Perfect weather. It's nice out here. Let's go.
I love that. All right. So we did the randomizer before the draft here. So Kevin will be going first. Oz will be going second. I'll be going third. And then we'll flip that again. And Kevin will go fourth. Oz will go fifth. I'll go sixth, and so on and so on and so on. So Kevin, let's just start this thing off. You are on the board number 1 for the Atlanta Hawks. Who are you going with and why?
Yeah. So I got to say right off the bat, this is not the pick that I would be making if it was me running the Atlanta Hawks. But I think that, part of this exercise is to think about what the teams will actually do. And so I think that their selection is going to be Zachary Rissache. And so that's who I'm going to pick. The upside on him, the story on him, the reason why he's supposed to be the number 1 pick is he's supposed to be this good shooter, kind of long and rangy. I don't know about athletic, but he's smooth. He's apparently got some skills and that kind of thing. And so people like that about him. He looks good when he plays. And the reason that I wouldn't make him my pick, I've got him in my stat-based draft analysis. I've got him rated with a second-round score, like a pretty late second-round score. And I would say he's probably one of the weakest, top 5-ish picks that I've ever rated. When I say top 5 picks, I mean by consensus. And so, the production really just wasn't there, and his efficiency was unimpressive, and his athleticism didn't test out very well. And it's like I don't really see the story with him, but I still think that that's who they're going to pick. So for the Hawks, I'm going to pick Zachary Rissache.
Just for curiosity's sake, Kevin, who would you have gone with here at number 1?
So if it was my pick, I would have taken Alex Sarr. I think that Sarr is probably going to be the best player in the draft. And then I might have considered taking Reed Shepherd actually in this spot too. But at 1, I would have probably gone for the upside guy who's bigger.
So I think here's the question for how we do this going forward. So I think there's been a lot of reporting that the Hawks are probably not going to take Sarr now. And Rissache looks like the guy, but they've also hyped up Klingon a lot. This could all be a smokescreen to get someone to trade up with them to try to take Sarr. So I do think there's a world where he still ends up being the number 1 pick here. So I guess, do we want to just project who we think teams would take, or do we want to go with a blend of the two? Like, if Sarr's reasonably on the board here and you think he's the best guy, Kevin, you're welcome to take him 1 if you want to do that. So it's
I'm going to go ahead and stick with Rissache, and even just for the reasons that I said. And as we go through, I probably will start shifting more to my own personal evaluation. But I really think that based on everything that I've been hearing, that we're Rissache. It's either going to be Rissache or Sarr, excuse me. And I think that it's going to be Rissache because I think that the Hawks would look at their roster and think that they're okay at center, and that where they could really use some help would be on the wing. And so I suspect that they'll talk themselves into the wing.
I think they also saw they were there during the playoffs when he kind of got on his hot stretch near the end, just a couple of weeks ago, and kind of saw that firsthand. So what they see is 6'9", 6'10", shooting ability, young age, switchability on defense. I think they see it as the shooting could maybe translate immediately, and then they could build up the rest.
Question from It Never Makes No Sense in the chat here before we move on. It says, question for Kevin. How different was Bilal's profile if you exclude Bilal's under 21 production?
Well, I would have to go back and break out those stats, because what I did is I ended up blending the two and making adjustments to the strength of schedule, et cetera. My guess is that Koulibaly still came out pretty solidly ahead. I mean, I had Koulibaly with a strong top 5 grade last year, and so they're just wildly different players. And so, yeah, good question. Like I said, I would take more work to go back and break that out, but I certainly had Koulibaly rated much higher than I have Risachet.
Makes sense. All right, number 2, Oz, you got the tough one here. All of Wizards Twitter, our hopes are riding with you. Who are you going to take number 2 for the Wizards?
I mean, I could take Klingon, and everyone could lose their crap, but no, we're taking Alex Sarr.
You got to take Zach Edey.
Got to take Zach Edey. Absolutely, man. You saw that final game when he put up near 40. No, Alex Sarr. I mean, you got size, you got athleticism, you have the ability to guard the perimeter at his size. You just have a lot of tools there to develop, and you have need. We traded Gafford. We have Rashawn Holmes, Marvin Bagley, Vucevic. So we don't really have much at the center position. So I think he just makes it's positional need. Even though we should not be really worried about positional need, but it's also talent level, and it's one of those things where I know the argument is, it's pick number 2. You got to swing for the fences. This kind of gives you that swing for the fence element, but you could also. You figure worst case, you're getting like a Nick Claxton, who's a very good player himself, and then the upside is if the offense develops even more, then you might have something more there. So I think you're getting a solid, high-level 2-way role player with the ability for more if he's willing to put in the time.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I would say one of my comps in today's article on the Bullets Forever for Sarr was Evan Mobley, and so I think. That's who, when I've watched some video of him, that's kind of who he reminds me of, just the build and the mobility and just the length and all that. So,
and I know there's some people when they see Mobley, they're like, they expected a little bit more, but at the same time, he's still a very productive player.
He's still young. I mean,
he's still young. There's still upside, and if he plays the 5, maybe he has more room to operate.
Makes sense. All right, I'm going to do what Yoda would do here, and I'm going to take Reed Sheppard, number 3 for the Houston Rockets.
Nice.
I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. They need a long-term guard to replace Fred VanVleet. It's probably not there for, the long-term future of that team.
He signed a 2-year deal, right, VanVleet?
Yeah, exactly. And you just, given that he's older, he's probably not a part of their core moving forward, and they need shooting. And just they've got some kind of guys that go rogue offensively there a little bit, and I think Sheppard just going to be like a nice, solid, structured guy with him that'll play within the offense. So just kind of seems like a seamless fit there.
Yeah.
Kevin, you were back on the board at number 4.
Yeah, before that, I just wanted to say about Sheppard. I really like Sheppard. I'm just intrigued by it. I'm going to be very interested to see what is has the stronger influence. Is it going to be his size? He is a little on the short side, but he's also a good athlete and crazy productive. I wrote today, his top comp in Yoda was Scotty Barnes, which blew my mind until I looked at the numbers and saw that basically, I mean, Sheppard, even at 6'3" and with relatively short, 6'2", I guess, with relatively short arms, he still averaged a block per 40 minutes, which was better than Scotty Barnes did, who was 6'7", 6'8". So that's pretty cool. So
Kevin, do you see him as a 1 or do you see him as a 2?
I don't know, and I'm not sure that it matters that much because the way I view the league now, I think that the difference between 1 and 2 isn't that great. I think that he would, for example, if he went to Houston, he would play alongside Van Vliet. He would play alongside. I'm blanking on who the young
Jalen Green.
Yeah. And I mean, they would share the ball handling and all that. So I don't think it matters that much.
Okay. You just have to hope that whoever they play doesn't pick up like a 30-year-old point guard from Oakland,
Yeah. That Golgi. Gonna come in and hit all those threes.
It's Rob and Reed's kryptonite,
Yeah. All right. So the San Antonio Spurs, I'm on the clock with the San Antonio Spurs. And this is a pick that I am really happy to make because I think that this is sort of a match made in heaven. And that is, I'm going to pick for the Spurs. I'm going to pick Stephon Castle.
Like that.
I like it.
Good size, tough defender, and good height anyway. Tough defender. He's got to learn how to shoot and do some other things. But what a great place to learn and what a great place to go and pair with a guy like Wembanyama. So
the defense, just good luck scoring on that team.
Right.
That's the thing. I've heard people have said like, hey, they should take Rob because Victor could kind of make up for him. Do you want Rob to expend all of his defensive energy and defensive skill making up for a non-entity defensively, or do you want to add another defensive entity to that and make it a strength rather than just pray that Victor can offset the negatives that you're getting?
Everything.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Castles is an awesome fit.
Yeah.
Again, could be a smokescreen. Did hear from some people in Portsmouth.
You're up next with the Detroit Pistons.
Go ahead.
All right. The Detroit Pistons, they take center after center. Klingon is there, but I just can't get myself to take another center. I mean, realistically, I don't think Klingon's going to keep sliding. I think someone's going to grab him at some point or someone's going to trade up at some point. So this could be a spot where someone like a Memphis, like an OKC moves up to draft Klingon because he's still on the board at 5. But assuming that they're still on the clock, I would probably go. See, they're a team that wants to start winning sooner rather than later. So Cody, I don't know how much sense Cody Williams makes sense. I'm going to go like my first curve, Dalton Knecht.
Dalton Knecht out of Tennessee. All right, bucket getter, and they need some shooting, so makes some sense.
They need some shooting. They want more instant production. They don't really want to wait on another guy. I personally wouldn't make that pick, but I could kind of see the match because they don't have 3 years to wait on Cody or Buzelis.
Yep. A team that isn't very good right now also and has a little bit of time to wait because they're just going to keep being bad for a while, I think, is the Charlotte Hornets, who's up next at 6. I'm going to take Matas Buzelis for Charlotte because I think he's like a nice long-term kind of guy to pair next to their kind of young core. He'd be great in transition with somebody next to LaMelo Ball that could kind of give him some easy looks while he continues to develop. He's athletic and bouncy enough. I think he could be like a lob threat next to Buzelis, and he can be kind of interchangeable on that wing forward spot with Brandon Miller. And also, I just don't like Miles Bridges, so this would give them an excuse to like shoot him directly into the sun. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Buzelis, but
So realistically, Kev, just to kind of for full context, so kind of some of the wings that have people have bunched together, even though they might be more 3 versus the 4, what have you, is Buzelis, Versace, Cody Williams. You kind of have them all bunched together in your analysis. Is that correct?
The wing. What did I say? Those names
between those 3, Buzelis, Cody Williams, and Versace. You kind of.
I wouldn't say they're bunched up, but they're all in Yoda rank as like second round picks or
gotcha.
they all rate low.
Okay.
Cody Williams. So yeah, they're all solidly second round picks in at least in Yoda's view.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was Finals MVP Jaylen Brown though, right? They could all be the next Jaylen Brown.
That is correct. Jaylen Brown was somebody who rated pretty low. I will say though that one of Risaché's comps was not Jaylen Brown. It was Patrick Williams, who 1 is much better athlete, but 2 has not exactly become a quality NBA.
I still don't know what he does.
Yeah,
he gets hurt.
He's big-ish, kind of. I don't bring him up as a knock on Yoda. I just think it's funny that the first guy that people mention when the stats aren't there is, well, Jaylen Brown didn't really do anything in college, and it's the one guy that everyone points to, and it's like, well, how many other the one guys really are there? It's very rare that someone does almost nothing at the collegiate level and then magically turns into it. I think the G League Ignite guys, it's a little harder comp, just because it's such a weird context. But
yeah, and so a few others that come to mind who didn't perform as well at college and then became at least pretty good pros for a while was like Andre Drummond was a guy who didn't do much. He had a really rough year in Connecticut and ended up being a good pro. He's sort of backslid as the game has evolved away from that style of play, his style of play, but he's still effective. I mean, he's still a good rebounder, still blocks shots. He just doesn't have anything offensively much as he would like to try. And then another guy who came to mind, Derek Lively is another one where he just had a really rough year at Duke. They had him with a second round grade, and Dallas picked him 10th overall, and that turned out to be a terrific pick. So it does happen. And another guy that springs to mind is Alex Caruso. Didn't really do very much in college. Was rated solidly in the do not draft range, and you just kind of can't necessarily account for somebody who's going to work their ass off and
right
themselves into a player. So
we got to go out and hire some private investigators for Bullets Forever now to impact our analysis to see how much these guys are actually in the gym.
Yeah, I need a programmer first, but I hear you.
That'd be good too. Yeah.
So, all right, Portland. I'm picking for Portland, and there are so many different directions to go. The one thing they don't need are the guys that I would probably be most interested in picking. They don't need a center, really. They've got DeAndre Ayton. Was pretty good last year.
Could you play Ayton, Rob Williams, and Klingon all together? I mean, let's do it. Let's get weird.
Ayton would like that. He wouldn't have to go into the paint.
True.
But it'll be interesting. I think that Portland could trade off some of their guards who aren't as productive and maybe replace them. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm going to sort of take a flyer. This is a guy that I like at least his offensive game. He's injured now, but may come back. So I'm going to take for Portland. I'm going to take Nikola Topic.
There you go. I like it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for the ACL, I think he'd clearly be in maybe even higher, maybe even the discussion for us.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's in Yoda. He graded out really well, and then he took some dings for being hurt and for having short arms. So
it is wild that it went from a 7-foot wingspan to a 6'6" wingspan. I've heard of 2-3 inches here or there, but a half foot.
But does the wingspan ultimately matter then if no one watching him play can tell if it's a 7-foot wingspan or a 6'6" one? How impactful is it really if no one knows?
Well, okay. So let me make the case for that real quick. And that would be that it does show up in a sense in the numbers, because if you look at his, the problem with Topic, offensively, I think he's really an effective player. He didn't shoot the three very well, but he shot almost 90% from the free throw line. So, I mean, the guy can shoot, and he has shot better from three in other years that he's played. So, but we're talking about 1.4 steals per 40 and 0.2 of a block. I'd have to go take a look and see how many total that was. Not very many for a guy of his size. And that is something that I think does show up in the numbers in terms of the wingspan. Whether, like you say, you can't eyeball it and tell the difference between a 7-foot wingspan and a 6'6" wingspan, but it does show up in the numbers. So
devil's advocate for that, if you'll allow me, he had shitty steal numbers, let's say, or block numbers, let's say, for a guy with a 7-foot wingspan, but now it's only 6'6", and he still has those numbers. I'm like, hey, that means he's working hard. So if he had those shitty numbers with a 7-foot wingspan, I would downgrade him. But now I would
say those numbers are pretty anemic for
or even a 6'6",
unless he has a 5'6" wingspan.
I love that.
That said, I obviously think highly enough of him to use the 7th pick on him. I don't have him rated quite that high in Yoda, but I think in terms of the kind of player that Portland would be looking for, he's the right fit.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Oz, number 8, San Antonio.
Okay, I mean, Klingon is still there, but again, not a fit right here. I am going to kind of push more chips in on defense,
Okay.
and go Ron Holland.
There you go. All
So
right.
now I've added Ron Holland and Kevin added Swan Castle to the Spurs. So that's kind of, you got. I'm not as concerned about the offense because he has his own gravity. He has his own universe, so he's going to do his own thing. San Antonio also has all those picks incoming from Atlanta in the future starting next year, which I think is unprotected from Atlanta, in addition to their own picks. So there are going to be plenty of more picks to add or to really go for your skilled perimeter players to go with Victor. So I think just kind of getting a slashing wing who plays defense to go along with Castle, you're kind of building that foundation so that once you hit like next year's draft, you kind of hit the ground it's just playoffs then from there.
Mhm.
I should have put Zach Edey because then they would have had a 7-5 backup.
It would have been fun. Look, I thought I was even thinking I was like Popovich would go against the grain and try to double up just to say, hey, we could still make that system work.
Yeah.
It's always fun to zig when everybody else zags. I get that.
Yeah. That
Cam,
would be Twin Towers.
yeah. Seriously. Cam said in the chat after the first San Antonio pick that no one is scoring on that team, but no one is scoring on that team. I think that doubly applies now with Holland. It not that the offense won't be there at some point, but it's just there's not a ton at the moment. So it would be a defensive-minded scheme for the next couple of years here.
Yeah.
All right, so Memphis is up at number 9. I am going to take Hashim Thabit 2.0 and take Donovan Clingan to Memphis. They took Hashim Thabit 1.0 the first go round, so let's give them another giant, slow, plodding center. Just kidding. I actually like Kling Kong more than that, but I just couldn't resist. They need a center, and he makes a lot of sense, and he would instantly raise their floor, and I think he'd be a really good role guy for Ja. So there you go. Donovan Clingan, number 9.
I like the pick, actually. So, all right. So I'm up
they'd be
with,
ecstatic. Yeah, they'd be ecstatic if he's there.
That would be best case scenario for them as a franchise, I think.
All right. I'm up for the Utah Jazz. And as tempting as it is to pick the guy that people say is Mark Eaton 2.0, which he is definitely not, Zach Edey can actually score. And but I'm not picking Edey. I am going to pick for the Jazz Devin Carter, Providence.
Ooh, okay.
I like
Carter. I just got to say, I like Carter. He's, pretty good numbers, not like eye-popping, but just solid shooting numbers, good production all the way around, rebounded like a forward. And he also tested as probably the best athlete at the combine. So I think that he's a really intriguing pick for a team like Utah that could use some help in the backcourt.
And some defenders on the perimeter, too. Like their other guards aren't really going to lock anybody up, particularly in Sexton and Clarkson. So I think that's a good fit.
Yeah, he's somebody I have. By the way, I've got him, I think, 5th overall. So
wow, love that.
I mean, he on top of the production, he tested really well athletically, So he's one of those guys like when you say he's a Miami Heat guy, he's a Miami Heat guy.
Yeah.
I think his dad played for the Miami Heat at some point too. Anthony Carter.
Oh, it is. Yeah. He played. Yeah, that's right.
So,
Anthony Carter played for the Heat. Yep.
There you go. So it's in the blood.
It's in the blood.
Oz, you were up for Chicago at number 11. Yep.
All right, for Chicago.
Hold on. Should we recap real quick our top? Who's
sure? Let's go through.
Let's do it.
Let's go through the top 10 real quick. So Atlanta took Zachary Ricochet. The Wizards took Alex Sarr. The Rockets took Reed Shepherd. The Spurs took Stephon Castle. The Pistons took Dalton Knecht. The Hornets took Modest Buzelis. The Blazers took Nikola Topic. The Spurs took Ron Holland. The Grizzlies took Donovan Clingan. And the Jazz took Devin Carter.
Yeah. All right. There we go.
Good call.
So I'm a little stuck here. The Bulls need to win now. But Cody Williams, who consensus is a top 10 guy, is sliding down the board. But you also have Rob Dillingham there, but you have a lot of small guards in Chicago already, But he could contribute immediately, a little redundancy. I'm going to go Cody Williams. The redundancy bothers me, at least from a team that is as short-sighted as they seem to be.
The Cody Williams, Patrick Williams front court duo there will be
Yeah.
very dynamic.
That would be such a perfect pick because he's another guy that I have with the second round grade in Miota.
Yeah.
And so he paired two Williams, both with bad grades in Miota. Maybe one of them turns out good.
They've got a type.
I will say, like, Cody Williams is someone that I've struggled with a little bit. The two things, like, people kind of say, like, kind of like high level role player with maybe some ball handling chops. He's 75 pounds? Is that what it is, Matt? 175 pounds,
not
6'6",
definitely sub 200.
measured like Will Barton size. He doesn't have high volume from three. He's very effective at the rim, like extremely effective. Like, that's the stats say that, and it shows that. It's a lot of these kind of flip shots, It's not like powering through people. It's not like it's maneuvering around. It's doing these flip shots. He's good defensively, but I also have that vivid memory of Isaiah Collier's putting him underneath the backboard, driving to the basket. So I think he's a project. I think he'll take time. He'll probably get there. I see someone, I know Kevin's going to be offended by this because I'm insulting a player that he loved. I see an Otto Porter eventually as his best case. That's just me.
I also loved Otto, for the record.
Yeah.
I got to say, though, an Otto Porter would be, I mean, I think most teams would actually be pretty happy with that. So.
In this draft at 11.
In this draft especially. But I don't think he'll be an Otto Porter in like 2 years. I think he'll be an Otto Porter maybe in 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City takes the most Oklahoma City guy I could think of right now in TJ Saloon. So there you go.
Yeah.
He's French and he's good at things, maybe.
So let me ask you this. What would your thoughts be if Presti, because they need a center. We would imagine Presti's going to trade up for one of the centers in this situation, right? Or would he just sit and kind of let the board fall to him? Is he going to be that stingy with his picks?
You've got all those picks. They already moved a couple in last year's draft, I think, so or 2 years ago to get Usman Jang. So I could see them kind of packaging some stuff again.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I like the pick you made.
He just seems to kind of check their kind of boxes. So
yeah.
Hey,
Kevin, I have a question.
Again, this is another guy Yoda not a fan of, so it'll be interesting.
So and I think one of the reasons is, well, one, productivity. Two, him and Reese Shea did not test well athletically, right?
Correct.
Kevin?
Correct.
So I guess here's a question I have, and I don't know the answer to this, so that's why I'm asking. The guys whose season ended literally 2 weeks ago versus guys whose season ended 2 months ago who can't combine train. Is there any, I guess there's no way to really tell what difference combine draft prep training could actually do, right? Because you can't imagine if Salon and Reese Shea had 2 months to work with a trainer on combine or draft specific exercises for vertical or what have you, you'd imagine they'd be a little better, right? Or
also, the 3 weeks rest would help too, that all these other guys get.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking out loud about that. Yeah. I just thought it was interesting that two guys who, look, they're not elite athletes, but they looked more athletic than they tested. But their season also ended 1 week before they tested. So it was a question. I think I asked Matt this maybe a few weeks ago, and I was like, that just seems interesting,
Yeah. So real quick, just on this point. So Reese Shea. So I use a combined standing and max vertical. Okay.
Yeah.
And for reasons, I won't get into all that, but just for reasons. And what's his name? Reese Shea came in at 56 inches combined vertical, right? Now you think about it, the top guys in max vertical got to 42 inches just with their max verticals.
Yeah.
So Reese Shea was almost 8 inches below below average.
Oh yeah, the testing was terrible. Yeah.
We're talking more than a standard deviation below average.
Right.
And so that's not very good. And then he was also his agility time was, let me see, also more than a standard deviation, almost 2 standard deviations below average. And so you figure, okay, let's say his training for the drills maybe improves his score by, I don't know, 5%, something like that, which would be significant. It's still going to leave him probably.
It's still going to leave him shy. But I do think there's probably some impact from literally ending your season, going to the NBA Combine, and boom, boom,
Yeah. No,
I think that applies for Salon also,
The thing with the worry with Risache in particular is that the poor athletic testing at the combine also shows up in the numbers. His 2-point finishing was kind of okay, but we're talking about a guy with like very few steals, very few blocks, almost no rebounds to speak of, really. I mean, we were talking way below average for even his position. And so it's like you really, with him, you're down to shooting, and his shooting was good, 38.7% from three, but only 70% from the free throw line. It's like not great. So it's like you for the kind of player that he is, he would really need to be a knockdown shooter.
Right.
We're talking 40% plus from 3-point range, probably 85-90% from the free throw line. And, and it also didn't get a ton of free throws. So it's like, I'm still back there, having picked him number one. I'm still back there.
I know. I mean, you're the one who took him.
Whether he's going to be actually that good.
I know, man. You got a little like Fight Club thing going on here,
I think it's a really good question though, Oz, and like the testing is a thing. Like these agents will put guys through like, here's how you do this, here's the technique, here's how you test well. But to me, it's more about just the fresh legs. Like Risache played 65 games this year. It's more than anyone else, I think, probably in this draft. Saloon played 55 games this year. That's probably second most of anyone in this draft. And there's no 3-week break. Like
that is a crazy number when you look at it. It's like I was stunned when I looked them both up and I saw the number of actual games played, and I was like, look what's happening over there,
Most of these college guys took a minimum 2-3 weeks off before they did anything like hardcore to get back into it. And
and there was some information too that Reed Shepherd went on somebody's podcast and talked about how he had used an arm trick that got him maybe a couple extra inches on his vertical, lost him a couple inches on his wingspan, I guess, or his standing reach is what they use. So, whatever.
Was he hanging in the doorway trying to stretch himself out beforehand?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Apparently, like one of the tricks, I think Jay Crowder did this too, is you shorten your standing reach. You don't extend quite as far. So you leave yourself a few more inches so that you can have a higher vertical. It's kind of dumb. I mean, if I were an agent, or a team, I would much rather have sort of the fixed infrastructure, if you will, of the longer arms, because the leaping is gonna die down as you
work on that too.
I appreciate the creativity though,
Yes.
Yeah. But I will say with Reed Shepherd, he did get a bonus for his in Yoda for his athletic, for his leaping.
Why didn't you take him number one, Kev?
Yeah, I don't know. Because basically I don't believe that Atlanta did that. So.
Kevin, you are on the board with the Sacramento Kings at number 13.
And I am completely stumped. So they've got little guards, plenty, and they could really use some good like size and shooting in the backcourt. And I don't really see that on the board here. They could also maybe use a big forward. And so for them, I am going to take DeRon Holmes from Dayton.
Okay, I like him.
He's got a promise from somebody. Could easily be that.
Does he? Yeah, that would be interesting. I think
that's what people are saying.
Be a really interesting player there.
Yeah,
he could play next to Sabonis. I like that kind of combo.
Yeah.
All right, Oz, you are up at number 14 for the Portland Trailblazers, and the Rob Dillingham free fall continues.
I know, it's like that's one thing. It has to stop somewhere, but
it won't be here.
I mean, they just drafted a point guard too. They drafted Scoot. I mean, they have Simmons. I just, again, it's another team that's just not a good fit. So let's see here. This is a tough spot here. Let's have a little fun. They're gonna go Zach Edey.
Oh, all right.
Spicy. Okay.
At some point, actually, there's a rumor right now that he has a top 10 promise. I think he's going to go somewhere in the top 20 just because the productivity is there and someone's just going to gamble that they can kind of build maneuver around him. Mm-hmm. I don't think Portland is really worried about DeAndre Ayton as a fixture of the future of their organization. So this seems like as good a spot as any.
I like that.
I like it too. And Edie, by the way, performed very well at the in the agility drills at the combine.
Someone
leaping,
posted his,
as you would expect,
versus,
was not impressive, but
someone posted his versus Klingons and versus SARS, and there wasn't a huge delta, and it was pretty impressive how he did.
Yeah. I mean, he was faster than some of the forwards, wings, even a couple guards.
Yeah.
So,
all right, I'm good with that. I'm good with him there.
All right.
All right. The Miami Heat are up at 15, and they will take Isaiah Collier, point guard out of USC. They need
I like this one.
a younger guard prospect, and Scary Terry is not going to get it done in the long term here. So there you go. Collier up at 15.
Also, I think what I read is he is the only top 20 visit that he's taken is with the Heat.
Yeah. Seems
so
on
you kind
brand.
of it's on brand. The one thing about so I've been a big Collier fan. And to me, a 205-pound frame with the speed that he has, I think, Kevin, you might have the numbers in front of you. His like 3/4 sprint, his speed at the combine was near the top. You add that speed, that strength, and that finishing ability he showed in college with the improvement he showed over the second half of the season. I think, and Matt, I think you mentioned this a couple of days ago, I wrote him off after the first half of the season. Quietly on a team that wasn't that good, he just worked and made himself a better player.
Yeah, their team was a shitstorm too. So a freshman kind of doing anything and not just sort of packing it in when a lot of the older guys did, I think says a lot about him.
I think it's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, he tied for the 8th fastest time at the combine in 3/4 sprint. And then
you have late first-ish grade for him, Kevin?
I had him actually with a 2nd-round grade.
Okay.
And then he had also a really good 9th fastest in the lane agility drill. Basically like a late first, early second kind of grade. Overall, his production was not that great. So that's the challenge with him. Decent assist, like he didn't rebound for somebody his size, didn't block shots, ton of turnovers, and that could just be a function that like you said, USC was a wreck.
Yeah,
this season.
I think I looked it up. His last 14 games, he was at about 2.5 turnovers a game. So you saw like Matt was saying, he just in the middle of a shitstorm, he put his head down, got to work, and just showed gradual improvement, which doesn't necessarily show in the whole body of work, but you could see it there. At least my opinion.
So I'm up with the Philadelphia 76ers. I would be a little surprised if the Sixers even make this pick. I kind of would expect them to trade out of the spot in some way.
Maybe to us.
Could be. But if they keep the pick, I'm trying to channel my inner Daryl Morey here, and I think so. Here's where I am. I'm between Rob Dillingham and Tyler Smith, and I think that based on how Morey thinks that he's probably would take a swing on Tyler Smith, so I'm going to pick Tyler Smith here at 16. Tyler Smith, for those who don't know, G-League Ignite, pretty impressive athlete, if I recall correctly, and or at least he tested decently. And then his production was kind of reasonable, despite being in a team that was thoroughly dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good potential floor spacer next to the big fellow there. So makes sense.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't see the Dillingham fit. I mean, at some point, talent prevails. I just don't. Him and Maxey seems like a defensive problem that you're creating. Yeah. And I thought they actually played better when Melton was there because he adds that defensive element next to Maxey.
Os, you are on the board with the Los Angeles Lakers at 17.
Okay, I'll stop the slide. Rob Dillingham.
Isn't he a clutch guy too? Like, wouldn't that be perfect for them?
I think it's just like, it's a name they could, like, they don't need to sell, but it's the Lakers. You want to do something flashy. I don't think they really care that they drafted Hood-Schifino last year. Like you said, clutch guy. The talent is just there.
I may have made that up. It just seems like a guy that should be a clutch guy.
Yeah. But you also have Anthony Davis behind. I mean, at some point, you got to stop the slide and just bet on his scoring ability and his efficiency.
My guess is, like, here once again, I don't think the Lakers make this pick. I think they end up trading.
Yeah. Right.
Or they make the pick but trade. I think that whoever they pick here is going to be elsewhere.
Makes sense. Once again, my guy Merle in the chat saying the smartest thing that anybody will say in the chat all day. Hit that like button for us and subscribe while you're at it. Always appreciate that stuff. Thank you, Merle. Okay, the Orlando Magic at 18. They're going to take Jared McCain because they needed some shooting bad, and he does that very well. So there you go.
I love McCain. Great player. Good pick. Solid job, Matt, as always.
Trying to get a second contract over here, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like McCain too. That guy, I mean, like you said, he can really shoot it, and that Orlando could definitely use that. He also rebounded a little bit. He overall did not grade very high in Yoda, but I perfectly fine picking him here. This is right around the range where I had him, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, good team defender. Got better finishing in the basket, just like his game. Good personality-wise, seems like a great kid. Just solid pick.
Yeah. So all right, I'm now picking for the Toronto Raptors, and this is an interesting pick because the Raptors are they're in a rebuild, and yet they also want to win now. So, and the best players, at least in my view, still on the board are really still centers. There's a tiny guard or a small guard that I think could be interesting here, but I don't think that really fits the mold of what Masai Ujiri typically is trying to pick. So that's there's like these little guards and then these centers. But I think I found one guy that I think Masai might go for, and that's another G League Ignite guy. Is Zan? I'm butchering his name. I'm not.
Zan Amanza. He actually withdrew from the draft.
So oh, did he? Well, then I can't pick him. Damn it. See, he should have stayed in. All right, let me take him out. And so I will go with, I guess, my next choice here. Man. I just saw a name that made me laugh because we mentioned him in our text chat previously. But let's see. You know what? I'm going to go with Jonathan Mogbo.
Wow. Okay.
I know that he's, I think, supposed to be slated as a second-round pick, and he probably will go there, but I have him rated much higher, and seems like a Masai kind of pick.
I like it.
Okay.
So you were on the board for the Cleveland Cavaliers at number 20.
Cleveland Cavaliers at 20. I think they need some more shooting, but then there's another older rookie who I think could probably help now, Tristan Da Silva.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, look, Cavs are in win now mode. We're in the portion of the draft where if you're not the Raptors or one of those other teams, you want instant production on a rookie contract, especially with the contract they're probably about to hand Donovan Mitchell. I think it just makes a lot of sense. They need more. They just need more. They need more scoring pop, more forward play. They're guard heavy, big heavy. They need more in the middle.
I thought you were going to take Karis LeVert 2.0 and take Jacoby Walter there. I really thought that was coming.
Almost picked him in 19.
Okay, I like the Silva. Solid guy, kind of kept them afloat for large stretches of the year too. Him and KJ Simpson. Okay, New Orleans, number 21. Gonna take Jacoby Walter. I assume that they trade Ingram, so having a 6'5" guy that come in and just shoot in space and stuff seems reasonable.
I like that pick. Like I said, I almost picked him 19, but I just didn't quite see the Toronto loving him. So so I'm now picking 22nd for Phoenix, and you actually just mentioned the guy that I would like to pick there. Now, here's the thing. This is once again a guy forecasted to be in the second round.
Ronnie.
No,
Ronnie James.
That's funny. Can I go back to number one? And no. So I'm going to pick for the Phoenix Suns, KJ Simpson, Colorado.
Okay.
They need some shooting from the point guard position, so
Yeah.
I think he's like easily equipped to do that.
Yeah, I think he's a hell of a shooter, and he's also was a good playmaker last season too. We're talking got to the free throw line decently. We're talking 5.7 attempts per 40, so he's stressing the defense at least a little. He rebounded pretty well, 5.6 assists per 40. Not many blocks, but he's not exactly a big guy, and but he's somebody that I could see getting some real minutes and playing, being like a real point guard, a real sort of ball handling point guard to put next to Beal and or Booker in that situation. I'm not part of a 3-guard rotation type of guy.
This is the kind of guy I call the Bryn Forbes role, where he just adds a lot of spacing as a 6'1" or 2 guy, and he brings the ball up a little bit. But they also have their stars have the ball so much that there's not a ton asked of them, and he will definitely space it. So I think on a team like this, he makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Oz,
he also, by the way, he tested out
he's a good athlete.
Quick, very quick guy.
Yeah. Oz, Milwaukee, number 23. What are you thinking?
Okay, so they have Damon Lillard is, I think, somewhat of a defensive issue. Well, not even somewhat. I mean, removing Drew Holiday and adding him caused a lot of defensive issues, I think, to the Bucks. So I think they will try to basically just mitigate that to a degree. So I am going to go with Ryan Dunn.
Ooh, I like him.
I just think he brings athleticism to a team that's getting older. You could do your best to hide Lillard as much as they're going to just have to hide Lillard defensively. And I think at least defensively, Dunn should be able to get on the floor a few minutes and help out. So, yeah, let's go for that. I was thinking the shooter, but if you add a Bub Carrington, you're just compounding the defensive issues of the team. You're almost recreating the Dame CJ backcourt, but Dame is older and Carrington's a rookie.
They need a wing that can turn the water off somewhere on that team.
Yeah,
there was just no one that could do it, and I think he's the best suited guy to do it, maybe in the whole draft. So there you go. Kevin, I'm curious. Draft grade on Ryan Dunn, undraftable?
No, I've got him just outside the first round. He's a second round pick, but just outside the first round. So real quick, stuff that I like from Dunn: 62% on twos, so that's excellent. Only 20% on threes, but on very low volume. Can't shoot free throws, 53%. But he rebounded really well. Decent steals, ton of blocks. I don't know about his size. I don't remember his size, but he seems
measured like 6'7.5", I want to say.
Yeah.
Like that.
So he's not like a out of this world athlete, but he seems like, just from the stat profile, one of those tough grinder type of guys who you could probably, even though he's smaller, I could see him as a small ball 5 and backup roles type of thing. If he can learn to shoot, obviously he gets, but he finishes well inside. So athletically, it seems like all of the statistical markers for athleticism are in place for him.
Agreed. Yeah, like that pick, Osman.
So everyone loves my pick.
I was going to take him with one of the next 2 Knicks picks if you didn't, because I was just like, this is a Thibodeau guy if there's ever been one.
I like him.
He could go out and play 41 minutes a game as a rookie and just defend people. It'll be great. All right. So, the New York Knicks here at number 24. Who is the Thibodeau-iest guy on the board here? Interesting. Let's see. I think I'm going to take not really maybe the Knicksiest guy here, but I'm going to take sort of their Emmanuel Quickley replacement here and give them Carlton Bub Carrington.
Bub Carrington.
It's odd because everyone consensus, at least on NBA Twitter, seems to be he's moving up, but it's hard to find the right fit for him going through a mock draft.
There's a lot of guards.
He's a talented, a lot of guards. He's a talented kind of guy who could get to the elbow, score a lot of buckets, run the pick and roll. He's gonna play well. I think it's it just reminds me a lot of the Buffkin conversation last year, where everyone's like, oh, he might just go top 10. He ended up going, I believe, 15. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then it's just a lot of guards and, you know, a lot of teams that are gonna target need, I think, more so than like just adding another guard to the roster that you're gonna give the ball to.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
Kevin,
I'm on the clock now for New York, and the challenge here is that the guy I would have picked is a guard. So, and a big
who was
guard.
that for conversation?
Jamal Sheed. I think Jamal Sheed is like just about the perfect sort of guy. Did he stay in the draft real quick?
So yeah, Jamal Shead for Houston. He is probably the best perimeter defender in this draft. I think you could very easily make that case. He MFers people. If he could even shoot a little bit from three, I think that would have probably had him as like a huge boost of your, on your grade there too, I would think.
Yeah. Well, if he could shoot kind of from anywhere, because we're talking 45% on twos and 30% on threes, which is yikes. Although 78% from the free throw line, but
yeah, he has nice touch. I mean, he just
ton of assists. You're talking 8.1 assists per 40 and an assist to turnover ratio that was 3-1. So that's really outstanding. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pick him anyway.
Okay, I like it.
Okay. Let him compete for it, and he's big too. Or at least he's very long armed.
Yeah, he's got a wingspan. I think if Deuce McBride is not there long term, it could kind of take that role for them also. So makes sense.
Yeah, and I
maybe even play them together.
Also have some willingness to make trades.
Makes sense. I like that. All right, Oz, you were up for the Wizards again, so don't blow it for us.
All right, so Sarr's going to play. He's going to get into the lineup, right? The way the Wizards operate is I don't think it's going to change much from year one of what we saw. They're not going to just throw rookies into the mix and approach the tank. They're going to tank because they're just bad, but they're going to play some vets early and then pivot in February. So I don't know if necessarily this player has to play right away. So I think given that Sarr is going to play, that they have to get Bilal more involved, that they have to get Vucevic more involved, I think you're going to take a little bit more of a project here. I like AJ Mitchell, but he's doesn't fit that project mold. So I'm going to go. I know you don't like when I mess up pronunciation. Pacome Dadier. How'd I do?
This is one I don't know either. I think it's Pacome Dadier, but I'm not.
Dadier? Okay.
Yeah, but
I'm going to go him because they didn't really get their scorer, right? They're going to add another wing size player. You know what I mean?
Plus French. So
yeah. Plus French. Yeah.
The coaching staff only has to learn one extra language, and that's perfect. Just if they all speak French, they're good.
I think there's someone else to throw into that wing mix. Yeah.
To Kevin's point, he was like 43% from three this year on like relatively low
on
volume.
Kevin?
I mean, second round grade, but like high second. So.
Oh, okay. So around where we are right now.
Yeah.
I mean, another one I would have if we didn't take Sarr, this would have been a perfect spot for the Wizards to take Ware, but we took Sarr, so then I can, doesn't make sense now.
Yeah.
All right.
And I mean, I think somebody like Jamal Shead would have been perfect in that spot, but I took him a pick earlier. So.
Yeah.
You could put him just have like this feisty little guy backcourt with Jared Butler, and they could just get up in people. That would be all about that.
Hey, I'm all right.
Okay, Minnesota. Let's see. I am going to take Johnny Furphy for them. Give them a little extra shooting on the wing. Why not?
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not. He's rated relatively high, at least in the mock drafts. And I don't know. I guess I'm just not seeing it. But
I watched him play probably 20 games this year, and I'm also just not seeing it. So we're on the same page. But as a 6'8" guy that projects as a shooter, it seems like somebody that they could kind of use if he does those things. Actually, you know what? I blew that. I wish I could reverse time here. Bobby Clintman seems like a very Minnesota pick, but oh well. Okay.
I'd much rather you pick Furphy than Clinton.
Yeah. He was terrible at basketball this year, but that's like their profile, I think, like athletically. Okay.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm up with the Denver Nuggets, and I have the perfect pick for the Nuggets. And the Nuggets, so the Nuggets could use some shooting. They always want shooting. Somebody who can just make. I mean, Jokic is going to create a lot of open looks. So they take Antonio Reeves from Kentucky.
Okay.
Reeves can flat out shoot the ball. He's also older. He's already 24, but or he's entering his age 24 season. But we're talking 56% on twos, 45% on threes, 86% from the free throw line this season. Doesn't do a whole lot else, but if he can be competent defensively and knock down threes, he's got a role in Denver, at least as a backup to KCP. So
also a guy that worked out for the Wizards too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just don't for a team like Denver. I don't think the age really matters to them. They want someone who could step in and play right away. I actually thought you might say Kel'el Ware just because we saw how bad the situation was behind the Joker last year. But that pick also makes sense that you made.
Uh,
All
right, Oz, you were up for Utah at 29.
Utah at 29.
So, and Utah got Devin Carter earlier at 10.
You got Devin Carter earlier. So let's see. Nikola Jurisic.
Okay.
All right. I think he showed well, at least at the combine. Shooter, a lot of confidence. There's still some guards out there that I like, but Utah has drafted some guards by now, and I don't know, adding another guard to the mix just didn't really make sense to me. Just adds a wing, another shooter. I'm okay with this one.
I feel that. All right, I'm a little torn here. I was thinking Ware, maybe just because eventually Al Horford has to retire at some point in time. Maybe they could use another big somewhere in the thing there. But if they're gonna run it back, somebody that could be a Sam Hauser replacement longer term makes some sense too. So I think I'm gonna go Baylor Shireman out of Creighton at 30. Give them looks of shooting, playmaking, solid defender. That's really.
Yeah, he can shoot. Short arms, not particularly impressive athletically, but like you said, he can really shoot it. So yeah,
he's a better than advertised defender too, just because I think he's smart and well positioned and stuff like that. And he was also a pretty good rebounder for a guard, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, gentlemen, we are done the first round.
We kind of flew through that first round.
Yeah, I mean. You want to go 5 more picks or something here, or each do 2 more? Go to. I mean, why don't we go to 40? Does that work for you guys?
Yeah, sure.
Probably do a couple more. I might. Yeah,
okay.
A couple more. I'm good. Yeah.
All right. So just to recap here, the last one we read off was number 10. So let's go 11. Chicago takes Cody Williams. Oklahoma City takes TJ Saloon. Sacramento takes Deron Holmes. Portland takes Zach Edey. Miami at 15 takes Isaiah Collier. Philadelphia takes Tyler Smith. The Lakers took Rob Dillingham. Orlando took Jared McCain. Toronto took Jonathan Mogbo. Cleveland took Tristan Da Silva. New Orleans took Jacoby Walter. Phoenix took KJ Simpson. Milwaukee took Ryan Dunn. New York took Carlton Carrington and Jamal Shed. Washington took Pacome Dadier. Minnesota took Johnny Furphy. Denver took Antonio Reeves. Utah took Nikola Jurisic. And Boston took Baylor Shireman. So, let's see who would actually be next on the board here, since I didn't even write down on my sheet beyond the first round.
I think it is the.
All right. Well, I'm up next. Yeah, with Toronto. Unless we want to reorder, reshuffle.
No, I'm fine.
Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah. So, all right. I am going to pick for the Toronto Raptors, Terrence Shannon Jr.
I like that pick though.
Good, interesting wing. He does not have a first-round grade, but he's, it looks like a pretty solid prospect, other than the fact that he's 24 already. Another of these older guys, but he can shoot 57% on twos, 36% on threes, 80% from the free throw line. So not much else production-wise, but we'll see how he can fit in Toronto.
and recently cleared of sexual assault. So no complications for Kevin on his draft record here. So you're good.
Yeah.
All right, Oz, you are up next for the Utah Jazz at number 32.
So they have Walker Kessler, but I got to stop the wear drop. I feel like I'm obligated to pick him now. At some point you just got to take. He's productive, talented. I am going with Khalil Ware.
Yeah, the slide had to stop there somewhere for Ware, I think.
Yeah.
And Utah could make that work, I think. He's
Yeah, I
probably
think
somebody you
he
could
can
play next to Kessler and just go big. Cool. All right, so let's see. Number 33 is the Milwaukee Bucks again. I could see. Shoot. Milwaukee takes Kevin McCullough, a wing who theoretically can shoot for the first time this year, and he plays some really good defense. And like we mentioned, that's something they seem to need.
Also 23, so ready to help a team that needs immediate help now.
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, Kevin, you are up for the Portland Trailblazers at 34.
So who's Portland picked so far? We've got, let's see, Zach Edey and Nikola Topic. And this is a team that could use kind of just about everything. They should also definitely be trading Jeremy Grant. But, here's the thing. It's weird because it's like all of the best players that are still sitting there are, at least according to Yoda, are centers. And I just can't imagine them picking another one after picking Edey. And with, I can't imagine them picking another one. So, let's go with, no, I can't imagine this pick guy either because of his age. So let's go with Portland picks Hunter Salas from Wake Forest.
He's going back to school also.
Going back.
God damn it. Excuse me. So, all right. My next choice here, let's go with, you're going to tell me he's going back to school, Juan Nunez from, he's playing in the German league.
Nope. He's in the draft, so you're good.
All right. That's who I think they might take.
Okay. All right. So let's make, since we got to get Oz out here, let's make this each kind of our last pick there. Okay. So Oz, you are up for the Spurs at 35.
Okay. I'm going to go with AJ Mitchell. I like AJ Mitchell as a player. He's hyper efficient. We've added 2 defensive menaces to the roster, but no one who's really an efficient player. I think AJ Mitchell could probably step in and step in, play maybe right away. And yeah, he's a crafty player. He's going to work his way to the basket, work his way to the paint. I can't imagine him not being an improvement over who they have on the roster right now at the point guard position.
Okay. Also, I just lied. I know I just said we got to make these the last 2 picks, but let's fly through the next couple and get to 40 because my OCD will kill me if I end at 36. So, okay. So wait, let's just see. All right. AJ Mitchell, 35. All right. The Pacers are up at 36 and the Pacers will take Kyle Filipowski.
Makes sense. I mean, he slid a little too, at least compared to consensus. I'm just not a fan, but at some point someone's going to grab him,
I think so, now. And they could probably use another big that could shoot. So he theoretically can shoot because he's white. At least that's the thinking. So let's go with that.
All right. So Minnesota is up next. And let's see. I am going to pick for them a winner. No, I'm going to pick for them Tristan Newton from Connecticut.
Okay. They could use some guard defense, and Jordan McLaughlin can't do anything long-term for them. So,
and Newton, I mean, I realize he's a little older. He's 23, but we're talking, a ton of rebounds and assists, 7.9 rebounds, 7.5 assists. And like you said, he defends a little. So I think it's an interesting guy for them.
I dig it. Oz, the Knicks, number 38.
Gotcha. So first of all, I kind of look like the anonymous scout now who's talking, who can't go on record. So like I'm just in the dark over here. The lights of the field turned off for some reason. So you can call me Scout X, who can't go on the record. I'm taking Cam Christie.
Okay.
He's another guy. I've been trying to find a spot earlier in the draft for him. I haven't found a good spot, but at some point, I think someone will take his size and shooting and take a chance on him.
I like that. The Grizzlies take. What do the Grizzlies need? Who did the Grizzlies already take? They took Donovan Clingan. All right, so they take some out of the box guys. I think the Grizzlies are going to take Jalen Tyson out of Cal.
Jalen Tyson.
He's been one of your guys.
That's my guy.
And this is kind of late for him also. So that's makes a lot of sense.
Be somebody that could play on the wing a little bit or handle the ball a little bit in like a backup point guard role if they needed to. And I don't know, he'll make sense next to Ja and people like that.
Yep.
All right, Kevin, this is the last pick then. The Portland Trail Blazers at number 40. Who are you thinking?
Man, I don't think any of these players. No,
they all suck.
No, it's not. Yeah, kind of. No. Yeah, this is it. I mean, it is tough. So I'm actually going to go with basically the youngest guy still left in the draft, assuming he's still in the draft, and that's Melvin and Ajinka.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead. He's forward.
His uncle works for the Wizards, Alexei Ajinka, that played for the Pelicans and whatnot.
Did not know that. Yeah, but Ajinka didn't finish well inside, but shot decently from three. Good free throw shooter. Not a whole lot of other production, but this is an upside kind of pick here in the second round. A little bit of a swing for the Trailblazers.
I dig that, gentlemen.
Yeah.
40 picks. We did it in barely over an hour. Not too bad. Any parting shots? Any names anybody wants to throw out here as we wrap? Last minute. Hey, I wanted to get this guy in, but I couldn't.
Anyone want to take a stab at what the Wizards would have done if we got to 50? What is it, 51?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Matt, you want it?
I mean, whoever had the most upside left, I think if somebody drops from this group, a Justin Edwards or somebody, I could see them taking kind of a big swing on someone like that if they
and AJ Johnson, I think, is still there also, but it's like again, couldn't find a good spot for him going through this.
Makes sense. Ulrich Chomche, somebody kind of that they could stash, maybe potentially would make some sense too.
Yeah, a few guys that I did like, a couple centers like that I just didn't. When it came around to me, the teams weren't right for them. But N'Faly Dante is an interesting guy, and Yves Missy is another guy that I thought was really interesting. Tyler Kolek, who we didn't talk about at all. I think he's fairly small, but another like really good shooter, ton of assists.
He's a wizard with the ball.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he were sitting there somehow at like 51 or wherever the Wizards are picking, that would be he'd be an interesting pick. I wouldn't be surprised if he's beating people out.
Yep, agreed.
Also, wouldn't shock me if the pick is sold or it's a stash.
Yeah, I was thinking Juan Nunez or somebody like that. If they were here at this point, could make some sense just for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you. Bolts Forever, go read it. We all write things there. So you can find more of this. If you like this kind of content, let us know. We'll try to do more of it next draft cycle too. Hopefully a little more exciting draft, and the Wizards will hopefully once again have a top 5 pick. That would be great. Appreciate everybody's time here. Happy Juneteenth to everybody. Kevin, Oz, thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit the like button. We appreciate you guys, and we will talk to y'all next time. Peace.